Right, so Digital Circus episode 4 is dropping in less than 24 hours, and the trailer for this one actually has some interesting things to look at and dissect for me. So what we're going to do is go over my beliefs on what's going to happen in the next episode, as well as the impacts on all of the characters. Let's get into it. The central premise of the episode is pretty easy to grasp just by looking at the trailer thumbnail. Our group have been tasked with running a fast food restaurant for the day. Gangle has been placed in the role of manager, while Pomni, Jax, Ragatha, and Zubul are all slaves to the minimum wage machine. You'll notice an omission there, which I'll come back to later. The group need to serve a number of different default NPC characters, both in-store and through the drive-thru, as well as this bubble character who may act like a Karen or the average Reddit mod and order 55 burgers and 55 fries. Now let's take a look at the individual characters to try and figure out how this nightmare will affect them. Normally we'd start with our main character Pomni, but Goose has come out and said that this will be a Gangle focused episode, so she's the first character we're looking at. Immediately we can see from the trailer that something is off about Gangle here. The most obvious clue for this being her eyes. One is filled in black with a white pupil like normal, and the other is inverted from her usual face. This could be a sign of Gangle's approaching insanity, which may hint that she's close to abstraction, or it could be a sign of something else. Her role as the manager is also somewhat out of character. Being mostly submissive to the rest of the cast throughout the first 3 episodes, choosing to make Gangle the boss so suddenly becomes quite odd. I do have a theory for why this happened though. We can see in this shot that likely takes place in the opening that Caine has created a suggestions box, likely for the cast to submit suggestions on what adventures they would like in the future. We'll talk about the significance of this in Caine's section, but for now just know it exists. As this is an anonymous box, Gangle may have been bold enough to request an adventure where she has some power for a change, allowing her a reprieve from the tormenting of Jax, like she was able to achieve with Ragatha in the last episode. But before her plan was able to come to fruition, something has happened to Gangle. Something that involves Zubul. We can see Gangle here inside of Zubul's room staring ominously at a mirror. There's no apparent reason for her to do this, as we've seen in one of the pre-pilot teaser images that Gangle has her own much larger mirror. We also see other members of the cast appear in Zubul's door, likely to witness whatever it is that is happening here that has affected Gangle so much. Gangle clearly wasn't the only one influenced by this interaction though, as we also have a first for Zubul, that being the fact that they have actually chosen to participate in this adventure. They do look very unenthusiastic from the short scene we can see them in the trailer, but the fact that they are here at all marks a big change. This may be due to the effect of the therapy session with Caine last episode, or it may have to do with what happens at the start of this one. Now I've repeatedly referenced something happening here, but I've yet to tell you what I think it is. Given Gangle's reaction to herself in the mirror, the odd spiral shapes around her eyes, and the change in personality, it may be possible that Gangle and Zubul have merged into one body, leaving Zubul's body on a sort of autopilot. This explains the shift to a more take charge and commanding attitude, while also maintaining some of the enthusiasm of Gangle's comedy mask. It explains the white eye, a feature of Zubul's design, and it explains why Gangle would be in Zubul's room in the first place. It would also allow a bit more of Zubul's development after we were slightly let down in the last episode. That's my big call, but now let's take a look at some more grounded theories. Starting off with Pomni. I think this will be an episode where Pomni gets the least attention out of all the episodes so far. We can see her up the front of the restaurant taking orders, and that's the only place we see her in the trailer. She also never has anyone around her in these scenes besides customers, and it wouldn't make much sense for our focus character Gangle to go up to the tills unless somebody asked to speak to the manager. Pomni will obviously still get some screen time as she is the audience's self-insert, but I doubt she will change much in the episode. Same goes for Jax. He likely won't change too much, but the response to him will. Having a more combative Gangle present who also has rank over him means that Jax won't always get his way, and may cause him to become very frustrated, especially after episode 3 where he will still likely hold a grudge. He may attempt to sabotage the business to get back at Gangle in the second half of the episode, but I believe that's all he will be doing. Ragatha, once again, is going to act as the antithesis to Jax, to try and support Gangle as much as possible. We can see that she works hard in the episode and does keep a smile on her face, even though it seems quite forced. Her previous escapade with Gangle in episode 3 also reinforces the idea that they will try and work together. Remember that omission I noted at the start of the video? Yeah. That was Kinger, as he isn't present in any of the scenes within the off-brand McDonald's. We see him once in the circus itself, but that's it. And there are 2 explanations for this. One is the simple omission of his scenes because none of them worked very well in the trailer, meaning he's still in the whole episode just playing a very minor role after receiving his development last time. Or 2, he chooses to stay back in his pillow fort, likely with Pomni's support so that he can stay more conscious and avoid abstraction for a bit longer. And that brings us to our final character, Caine, who, surprise surprise, may actually get some development in the show. His creation of the suggestion box for the cast tells us one very important thing. Zubul's comments got to him. Caine is now subtly self-conscious about his ability to create good adventures and entertain the cast, so to make up for this he's decided to start creating adventures that the cast specifically wants from him to ensure that they're happy and restore his own confidence. And one last thing before I end the video off that probably won't happen, but I really hope does. Remember after Gummy Goo died when Ragatha said this?
I know Caine sometimes likes to reuse NPCs.
Well, we see see the first example of that happening in this trailer, with the Gloink Queen appearing in the drive-thru. This means that there's a possibility, however slim, that Gummy Goo could come back in this episode, and that's my big hope. But that's all I've got for today. Thank you all for watching, and enjoy the episode.